Welcome to another Yu-Gi-Oh! Review here, Season 3, where we're talking about today, also known as the half distraction and crap season. Because it is such a big distraction, the first half of it, because Season 2 and Season 3, they are directly connected. The story continues. Like, after you watch Season 2, you expect Season 3 to just return right back to that, but no. The first half of the season practically is a distraction, and it makes you upset, it makes you angry, it makes you it's just like, ugh. But anyway, so as like a quick recap, so Season 2 was like that Battle City tournament that Kaiba set up to get the Egyptian god cards. That's essentially what it was. All these people dueling, and then Merrick, controlling his people to get the Egyptian god cards, but it never works out. So you make it to the end. There's 4 finalists left, which is Kaiba, Yugi, Merrick, and Joey. That's where the season ends. Okay, Season 2. Now Season 3, it's going to begin. You're going to think, oh my gosh, it's going to be great. Finally you're going to see the epic finale of who's going to be dueling who and what's going to be happening here and all that sort of stuff. But no. Because what happens is that they get on a blimp. They're going to go to Kaiba Corp Island, but there's a distraction. This season is known as the Noah's Saga and Enter the Shadow Realm, because Noah plays a big part in this. The first 24 episodes deal with Noah. So if you don't care about any of that, just want to get straight to the next part of the Battle City thing, just skip the first 24 episodes of the season, which is like half the season. But not only that, even if you do skip it, you're not really missing out on anything, because there's literally like 2 references in the entire rest of the season that actually talk about that incident. And it was like just for like a few seconds, for like a little bit of a flashback. Really not much of anything. You're not really missing out on anything except for some of the history of Kaiba. But basically what happens is that they're on the blimp, they're headed for the island, but there's a diversion. They're kind of being sucked over into this like virtual reality world created by Noah. And the whole premise is that there's this big 5 group of these corporate people, and they're like the board of directors of the Kaiba's business, and they wanted to essentially take over the business, and then they end up becoming trapped in the cyber world, and they want physical bodies to escape in, because this happened, I think it was the end of Season 1, I believe, where you kind of see these big 5 people. So they want to escape out of the virtual world with real bodies, which is why they bring them all here and want to do that. But it is Noah who's running everything. And then as they're dueling the people, there's slightly different rules. Like there's like a deck master, and if your deck master dies, then you automatically lose the duel, and things along those lines. But it does focus on Kaiba's history and a bit of his father's company that he ended up inheriting. And Noah was actually the son of Gozoburo, which is Kaiba's actual, adopted father, who was intended to inherit the company. But there was an accident with Noah, and then he was not able to actually take over the company, so ended up going to Kaiba, because like Noah essentially was brain dead, or his physical body died or something along those lines. So they put him into this virtual world, and everything, it was just super intelligent, and then Gozoburo ended up being kind of scared of him because of how intelligent he actually was. Like he could surpass him. So at the end of all that, after all the big 5 stuff, Noah eventually loses the duel against Kaiba, because that's I think it's Kaiba and the Yugi who's dueling him or something. It's always Yugi, he's always there winning, and Kaiba's always just all upset and everything. But Noah tries to take over Yugi's body, and then at the very end, it's that Gozoburo guy who digitized his mind and was actually trying to control Noah in this virtual world to try to take back everything. And then it was just a whole bunch of just confusion and crazy stuff that was happening. I mean, it was interesting, but it wasn't what you want to see right after just that epic previous season. So And then Noah ended up escaping in Kaiba's brother's body, Mokuba, and then Gozaburo tried to escape in Kaiba's body, and then they eventually just remedied the whole situation, and just they wanted to destroy the whole. That's what it was. Okay, so Gozaburo ended up wanting to trap everyone in the virtual world to be like the god of the virtual world, and just destroy just all the outside world, essentially. Just have this virtual reality world. So what everyone needed to do was to destroy the virtual world, but they had to get out of there. So that's what the first 24 episodes are about. It's just kind of like, okay, great to finally be done. It's like, okay, good. Not my thing. But anyway, so now after that, they finally get back on course. It's like if you skip those first 24 episodes and you just jump right in, you literally would not even know that you missed anything. Because you see the blimp going towards Kaibakura Island anyway. It's like, oh look, I didn't miss anything. You didn't miss anything. It was just a big diversion. So the first duel, once they get there, is Joey versus Merrick, and of course, I think we know who's going to win that. Although it was very, very close, because Joey ended up almost defeating this evil Merrick guy. My gosh, he's just like, he just gets evil, more and more evil as the season goes on. He really does, just Merrick, because he has like this evil side and like this good side. Well, not really a good side, but But what happened was, Merrick had brought out his Egyptian god Ra, the most powerful one, and drained Joey of so much energy. But Joey still managed to stand up and almost call off that final attack that he would have won the duel with, but then he passed out and entered the Shadow Realm, which he was incapacitated for a while. Okay, so it's kind of like cheating, I guess, because he couldn't do anything. Merrick was cheating, couldn't do anything after that. So first duel went to Merrick, obviously, and then it was Yugi versus Kaiba, and this one was just kind of back and forth, just non-stop, because they're very, very equal with their skills. So it's literally one person does something and there's a counteract for that from Kaiba, and then there's a counteract to his counteract from Yugi, and it's just kind of going back and forth, and they're very, very equal. They're very, very equal. And it's just like, oh my gosh, who's going to win this? But then, it ends up being Yugi, obviously. And then Kaiba's just mad. It's like, I don't need to be here anymore. This was my tournament and I lost. Like a sore loser. He's always denying, his ancient Egyptian, history that he is, part of. He's just a... I know so many people like him as a character. I'm not ever a fan of him, to be honest. I'm just not a fan of him. Okay, so... Then that leaves, actually, after that, there's like a little mini duel between Joey and Kaiba to see who comes in, like, third place. But of course, Kaiba wins that one. Although that one, I don't think, that one is not quite as, equal match. So you can tell that, they don't have equal skills. And then the final match of the batch, which is Yugi versus Merrick, the one that's going to be, determining the fate of the world, essentially, because if Merrick wins, he's going to have all Egyptian god cards and become the pharaoh and just take over the entire world, essentially. Whereas if Yugi wins, he's going to try to save the entire world. Because Merrick, essentially, the reason why his evil half was born was because, he was the family of an ancient Egyptian tomb keeper family that had a watch guard for when the pharaoh returns. Yugi is the pharaoh. Merrick didn't want that. Merrick didn't want to be spending his whole life like underground waiting for the stupid pharaoh, It's like, I have better things to do, And him and his brother Ishizu, that is what, they were destined to do. But Merrick didn't want to do that. So that's where his evil side came to be. And then it just completely just took over. And what ended up happening during this duel, it was another servant of Merrick, which his name is Odeon, which was pretending to be Merrick during season 2. He had come back. Odeon had kind of waken up from like this shadow realm that he was in, and he ended up actually bringing back the good Merrick into, evil Merrick's body. and once that happened during the duel, because again, the duel between Merrick and Yugi is like a very equal match. There's a bunch of Egyptian god cards being played, all this sort of stuff. But once Odeon brings back that good side, then the good Merrick comes out and he actually surrenders the duel. It's like, okay, I'm just going to surrender. And then the evil Merrick ends up going away, and then, yeah, it's just not necessarily the most epic type of conclusion that would have happened, but, you know, it is what it is there. So, yeah, after all that, you know, Kaiba is just still being a sore loser, and then wants to, you know, just destroy and bury the past. He can't deal with losses, so what he does is that he wants to destroy the island that everyone is on. He wants to destroy the island, and that sounds so much like his father, doesn't it? About destroying the whole, like, I don't know, just destroy the virtual reality thing, you know, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, you know, just like, oh, just such a sore loser. And then, you know, he tells everyone to go back to the blimp. They all go back there, but the engines are destroyed of the blimp. They can't leave. They cannot leave. And then Kaiba's just gone. They can't even find him. He's not there, and he ends up taking a different, like, all the people ended up finding a different helicopter to go on because the blimp engines were destroyed, and then Kaiba ended up escaping on his, like, Blue Eyes White Dragon aircraft that he had. It's like, you know, it's like, oh wow, okay, you know, it's just, okay, you wanted to destroy everything and all those people and just leave them all behind, yeah. Okay, because he wanted to be the best duelist in the world. Oh no, he couldn't deal with losing to Yugi. Oh my gosh. And then at the very end, it's such a nice thing that ends up happening. You don't actually see it, but, you know, they get back Yugi and Joey and all his friends. They get back home. And at the very end, it's like finally the time to Yugi versus Joey. Just a nice friendly match. And that's kind of where, like, the season ends. And you don't actually see the duel, but it's just kind of a nice friendly thing. So it kind of concludes that whole segment there. So, yeah, it's really, really good, I would say, for the second half. Not necessarily the first half. Because the thing I just told you was like two completely different stories and scenarios. It's just a completely different show practically. You know, it's like, why did you have to interrupt? You know, I guess for, like, anticipation. You know, I mean, it definitely did increase your anticipation to have that whole Noah stuff, and not only that, to get a little bit of a history about Kaiba as well, because then you realize why he's such the sore loser that he is and wants to destroy everything. It's like, I can't deal with losses. It's like, oh my gosh, dude. My gosh. So, But yeah, there's only 2 seasons left of the show. I think the kind of some of the overall story does continue, but you know, there is some things throughout all of this that do kind of continue. Like, if you remember the whole thing with Bakura, the evil Bakura that is within him. Like, at the very end, you kind of see a little bit of this evil Bakura, because you know that's like the overall type of thing here. Even though there's all these other, you know, main thing that is being focused on, the evil Bakura thing is still kind of there. That has not been resolved up to this point. So the last 2 seasons, you know, maybe there's more focus on that. I don't know. I don't really, you know, fully remember what happened, but we will see soon. So, yeah, good conclusion to probably the best part of the Yu-Gi-Oh!, at least the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series. The whole Battle City tournament is probably my favorite thing. Probably followed the first season, which is the Duelist Kingdom Island with Pegasus. Those are like my favorite. Skip the Noah crap, and then the last 2 seasons I don't even really remember too much. It's like something to do with like dragons, and I think the last one is like, I think the last one's interesting because I think it has to do with like the ancient Egyptian stuff or something. I don't really fully remember, but it's interesting, but it's not as good as like the Battle City stuff. So that's like the best stuff right there. So that was it. So let me know your thoughts on this if you have liked this show and liked this season. It's one of my favorites when I was younger, and it was just so nice to finally kind of like finish that season, you know, because I never actually like finished it when I was younger, but it was good. So that is all. You take care, have a great one, and I'll catch you later. Bye bye.